Over the past few days, I've been doing some tinkering with my wildcard drafts, and in today's video, I'm going to share the best two I've come up with so far, and also go through all the key stats and data you need to make the best decisions ahead of Game Week 4. Now, before we dive into today's video, we are super close to hitting 8,000 subscribers, so if you want to help the channel hit another milestone, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Right, before we go and take a look at the wildcard drafts themselves, I think it's important to run through some data. This is coming from 11FI. It is the projected clean sheet numbers for the next, I think that's 6 game weeks. Yeah, 6 game weeks off the top of my head. There we go. So these are realistically defenses you should be looking to target over the next few weeks. As we can see, Manchester City top. It is that big fixture swing they've got coming up in match day 7 that is definitely helping to kind of, boost their numbers up as well. Arsenal's with their fixture swing in 6 as well. Some pretty decent clean sheet percentages for them. Obviously off the back of, a pretty strong start as well defensively this season. Liverpool for the next few, definitely strong. I would be looking to target both Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold from a defensive standpoint. Villa, as we've kind of all been speaking about within the FPL community, have this long run of amazing fixtures. They've got a great set of kind of projected numbers here for clean sheets as well. So the likes of Konza, Martinez, I know a few people are dabbling in Digne as well, so potentially could be decent options there. Brighton for match day 4, 5 and 9 also have pretty decent odds. And one of the teams that was quite surprising on this list was Everton. I know they've had a really rough start to the season. However, I do feel when Branthwaite does come back, they could be a more assured and kind of a defence we did see last season, which was very resolute, managed to keep a lot of clean sheets. So there might be some undervalued assets within their teams for the next few weeks, potentially worth looking at. Like I said though, I would say it is more dependent on whether or not Branthwaite is fit and available. In terms of teams I probably wouldn't be looking to target, the likes of Fulham, Newcastle, Bournemouth, probably not worth a gamble for the next few weeks. The clean sheet odds just aren't quite there, so probably worth not investing in any of those defenses. Right, let's move on to projected goals. Again, this is coming from 11FI. Like I said, link in the description if you want to go and check out their amazing website. Projected goal numbers over the next few weeks are big for Manchester City, really big. Like I said, they've got that big fixture swing coming up in match day 7 and match day 9 when they play Southampton at home. Could be another week if you haven't played your triple captain yet and fancying Erling Haaland. That could be another great week with really good projected goal numbers as well. Liverpool for the next few, definitely the strongest attack in the league, you'd have to say, over the next 3 match days. So Mohamed Salah probably is a priority for those 3 weeks and arguably one of the best captaincy options during that period as well, with strong projected goal numbers. Arsenal as well, we spoke about their fixture swing with the clean sheets. It can also be seen in the projected goal numbers as well. So likes of Kai Havertz, Saka, definitely going to be starting to appear back on the menu as well. Aston Villa, again, with those good fixtures, definitely worth some consideration. Brighton for the next 2, some very good numbers. And then again, in match day 9 as well, decent numbers there. So definitely worth a little bit of consideration. And then United starting to creep onto this list. If I've kind of taken a look at some of their fixtures, definitely some interesting ones in there. So I think, over the next few weeks, we might potentially start to see some United assets, start to creep into our transfer plans with decent projected goal numbers, decent fixtures coming up on the horizon as well. So we might see the likes of maybe Bruno Fernandes and of course Garnacho and maybe Xerxes start to enter the picture as well. In terms of attacks, I would be looking to avoid the likes of Fulham have really starting to tail off, I would say, after match day 6. So though, the Emile Smith-Rowes and the Munizes probably worth selling at that point. Same goes for Nottingham Forest as well. The likes that have kept Chris Wood over the next few weeks, it does look like projected goal numbers are going to start to tail away. So probably not worth any kind of investment for me personally. Finishing up, let's take a look at projected points from 11FI, Fantasy Football Hub, for the next 5 game weeks. As you can see at the top is Mohamed Salah and Erling Haaland, and in both of the drafts we have included today, both of these guys do feature as well, because I do feel they offer some of the best captaincy options over that time period as well. So I feel you kind of just can rotate between the two and have the best captaincy option for projected points, or of course, anytime goal scoring odds for that week, which is pretty much ideal, to be honest. Some of the standout names as well, Eze really, really high up. Palace has got some definite great fixtures, so worth a little bit of consideration. Some other names that are standing out to me as well personally, Kai Havertz, Odegaard in there starting to break through with those Arsenal good fixtures coming up. I think the likes of Robertson as well, I did kind of announce him as one of the potential options to potentially consider. He also features on this list as well. So those were the projected points and of course the projected team data as well. Let me know what you think of that down in the comments section, and let's go and dive into our 2 drafts. Wasting no time, let's dive straight into draft number 1. We're going to start off with goalkeeper picks first. It is going to be Ramsdale and it is going to be Martinez. As we saw in the last section with the 11FI data, it's looking very, very good for Aston Villa in terms of clean sheets over the next few weeks. And if we look to the FDR as well, it is also looking very, very strong for their upcoming fixtures. So I think this could be a decent way into that Villa back line as well. And I wouldn't say there's going to be any expected rotation as well with Champions League for Martinez either, so it gives us a nice way into a good defence for the next few game weeks as well. Ramsdale, interestingly, him and Southampton have got some pretty decent fixtures. Ipswich at home, Leicester at home and Everton at home, all within the next 8 set of fixtures. For me personally, I do prefer just having the 1 goalkeeper option. However, I know some people do like to rotate, and these 2 do rotate quite nicely, and they do give you some decent fixtures across the course of the next few weeks. However, looking at the 11FI data, it doesn't really fancy Southampton to do exceptionally well over the next few weeks for Southampton, so it might be worth just saving that extra 0.4 million and just having Martinez and a different kind of dud goalkeeper on the bench. Right, let's move on into the back line. We're going to start off with Andy Robertson. Again, using that 11FI data, we saw Liverpool were good for projected clean sheets over the next 4 game weeks. And in terms of the next 5 game weeks, we also saw on the Fantasy Football Hub model that he is one of the best projected point scoring players, not even just in terms of defenders, in terms of all players over that time period as well, beating the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold as well, which is big, to be honest. So, you know, you're getting a saving of 1 million to get into a good Liverpool defence and to get a player that is projected to do better. All of that seems to me like a recipe for success. So I'm a big fan of Andy Robertson. I'm looking at him myself as well for this game week. I think he could be an absolutely stellar option to go for. Next defender is going to be Lewis Dunk. Again, using that 11FI data, the next 2 fixtures are great for Brighton. Then they do have a tricky patch. However, they do pick up in match day 9 with Wolves at home. But as you can see with the other defenders, we've got plenty of good rotating options over that time period as well to just switch him out for those more difficult fixtures as well. He is the club captain and I would expect him to play every single minute, to be honest. Next up is going to be Mark Gahey. He has received a price decrease, which is good because he now comes in at 4.4 million. Palace, historically over the past few years, have been one of the best defences for XG conceded. Again, using that 11FI data for projected clean sheets, they're not too bad in terms of the next few weeks for those as well. Some definite good fixtures coming up for them. You know, Leicester, Everton away, Nottingham Forest away, Wolves away. There's definitely some strong fixtures you feel where Palace could go and get a clean sheet in either of those games. You could very easily swap him though for Konza and obviously put Henderson in goal for Martinez if you did want to save that extra 0.5 million as well. Moving on to our 2 bench defenders. Now it is going to be Mykolenko, and like I pointed out with that 11FI data, Everton's clean sheet numbers are looking pretty good over the next few weeks. Now, I know we've got to kind of take our brains out a little bit here and think, right, okay, well, they've been really poor at the back at the start of this season. They've not looked good. They've conceded a lot of goals. They've let in a lot of sloppy goals as well. However, they are missing one of their best defenders. They are missing Jared Brandthwaite, who realistically is top 6 level, international football level. To take a player like that out in a Sean Dyche system that relies so heavily on, you know, defenders doing their job and leaving them with people like Michael Keane and Ashley Young and all these other drips at the back, then it is going to have an impact on their clean sheet kind of numbers and XG conceded numbers. So they've definitely got the fixtures there. The clean sheet data as well is suggesting that they could be a decent side to back over the next few weeks. I know it's probably not going to be the most popular pick right now. However, it could be one that, you know, in a couple game weeks time when Everton have kept a few clean sheets again, perceptions could have changed around their team. I think sometimes we look at narratives a little bit too much within the game. Obviously at the moment the narrative is Everton can't defend, they are poor, they are a bad team. Yes, but they have injuries. they've got some good fixtures on their horizons, and don't get drawn into those narratives would be my suggestion for you. Moving on to our final defender, it is going to be Pedro Porro. We're obviously benching him for this game against Arsenal. You could very easily play him over some of the other players we have starting if you did feel like he, could go and do something. He, of course, has had the most shots amongst defenders. Naturally, that was going to happen. That is what Ped Porro is all about. He gets into these positions, and it doesn't even matter that Spurs don't keep clean sheets at times, because this guy is an absolute machine. He will pick up quite a few mega hauls this season, mainly down to those attacking returns as well. The fixtures coming up for Spurs as well are actually pretty decent after the Arsenal game. Brentford, United, Brighton, West Ham, Palace, Villa. Like, there's definitely a couple of games in there where you could see maybe Spurs getting a clean sheet, or at least him getting an attacking return as well. So I'm very, very happy with that pick, kind of rotating with our other 4.5 million defenders as well. Right, let's head into the midfield. We're going to start off with Brian Mbeumo. Now, he could be one of the players that you could swap, obviously, Mikalenko for, or Pedro Porro for, if you did want to go down that route. Now, they do have a difficult fixture this week. Then Tottenham away, I probably would be tempted to play him. Tottenham defensively still leave a lot of questions to be desired as well. Andy is now their penalty taker, so could get very, very fortunate on that front and could be a great option to go and pick up in that regard. Anyway, after that though, West Ham, Wolves, Manchester United, Ipswich, Fulham, great run. I think will be verging on the words essential, because he will be in a lot of people's teams. A talisman for 7 million. Makes complete sense to me. You might as well, if you are playing the wild card this week, get in on him nice and early, and you might get a couple price rises out of him as well if he does continue to deliver in these more difficult fixtures, or of course the hype starting to build for these better fixtures after match day 5. Moving on to Eze next. I feel, owners of him, or people that kept with him from the start, were definitely rewarded last week with a goal from him. However, he's still got more in the locker, and you do feel with some strong fixtures coming up for Palace, he can definitely produce moments of magic that we've already seen from him last season and in glimpses this season as well. So I think for the price you're paying, I think Eze is a really, really good option. If you were considering selling him this week, I think I'd give my head a little bit of a wobble and reconsider that decision. Next up is going to be Morgan Rogers. Again, he's just in here because he is just so cheap and so good for the price point for me. 5.1 million for a player who's going to be playing. He is quite attacking. The fixtures are definitely there. I wouldn't be expecting like the world from him like some people are. Remember, he is priced at a 5.1 million price tag. So don't be expecting, attacking returns every single week. However, if he continually plays and just picks up a few attacking returns along this good fixture run, he is going to be decent value at that 5.1 million range for me personally. Next up, I feel I'm going to have to explain this one, aren't I? It is going to be Bruno Fernandes. Now, the people that have owned him are probably screaming at the screen right now, Tom, what are you doing? What are you suggesting Bruno Fernandes for? Now, if we look to those 11-5 projected goal numbers over the next few weeks, there's some really, really decent kind of numbers that United are starting to build over that period. They've definitely got the fixtures there. I know they've got some difficult ones with Tottenham and Villa, but Brentford, West Ham, Palace, Southampton, there's definitely a good set of fixtures here. Bruno owners as well will flash up his stats on screen right now. I feel have been super unfortunate, to be honest. Just look at the expected data that he's putting up, and for him to have not done really anything is massively frustrating. I get that. However, it feels like the old adage where he's just like due. He really is due. And as we saw as well with the Fantasy Football Hub projected points data for the next 5 game weeks as well, he was one of the midfielders that did feature on that list, so maybe worth a little bit of consideration for this game week. Next up is going to be Mohamed Salah. Again, going back to that Fantasy Football Hub projected points data for the next 5 game weeks. Him and Haaland are realistically the best captaincy options over the next few weeks. Salah picks up while, Haaland has Arsenal. He has Bournemouth and Wolves. Game week 7 is that. They play Palace and Haaland plays Fulham. So again, that one's a little bit of a split if you wanted to go down either way. However, I would probably be, verging on maybe selling him around game week 8 for some other assets as well, with the fixtures starting to tail away, European football as well starting to become on the market. And again, I do feel same with Erling Haaland and Mohamed Salah, there will be a drop-off in their performances. It can't keep happening. It's just not applicable, to be honest. There's a thing in basketball and gambling called the hot hand fallacy. If you've never heard of it, we'll obviously explain it here, but if you want to go to kind of do a little bit more research into it yourself, feel free to. But basically, what the hot hand fallacy is people get this perception that something is happening all the time and it's just going to continually keep happening, which it's mathematically impossible to keep happening. Haaland will not score hat-tricks every single week. Salah will not get 17-point returns every single week. It's mathematically not possible to happen. So, you know, this is what the hot hand fallacy is. People get this perception in their minds that it's going to happen every single week continually. It just doesn't quite work out that way. So there will be a drop-off at some point, and, you know, we will have periods where we won't want Mohamed Salah. And I feel around match day 8, that might be potentially one of those periods where it could be. Right, let's move on to our forwards, and then we'll move on to the second draft. Obviously, Erling Haaland's in here again. Like I said with Mohamed Salah, these two are the best captaincy options over the next 5 to 6 game weeks, so you might as well get both of them in your side. They've started the season exceptionally well. Obviously, you know, that isn't going to continue, but I will imagine that both of them will still continue to put in decent-ish scores. Probably not to the levels we've been seeing so far at the start of the campaign. However, still very, very good scores to justify their price points. And then we've got João Pedro. Now, obviously, the big thing with him is whether or not he is going to be available. Obviously, he's now been called up for the Brazil national team. They don't get back till, I think their game's on Wednesday at 1 a.m. So he probably won't get back to the UK till maybe Thursday, Friday, if Brighton obviously let him have a day off. So he might miss out on this really, really big game. And if that was the case, we do have a different striker option within the second draft that I will talk about there. However, I would be maybe tempted to go for maybe somebody like Danny Welbeck, who's also put in decent numbers over the past few weeks, or Evan Ferguson obviously came off the bench against England yesterday. And when he is fit and available, he is a great natural finisher, so could be a decent option as well. I feel the ideal one, though, I would want to go for out of those Brighton attackers would be João Pedro. He carries the penalties. I feel as well he's more versatile in his position, so probably less likely to be dropped. And it does seem like he is the new manager's favourite player, to be honest. So, yeah. And then finishing up, we do have Cannon on the bench. There isn't a 4.5 million playing forward, so we might as well just put someone who's not going to receive a price increase or decrease over the next few weeks. That was draft number 1. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments section below, and let's move on to draft number 2. Moving on to draft number 2, like I said, I'm not going to go through every single player in this one. I'm just going to go through the ones that are different, and there are quite a few that are obviously have changed, as you can see. So let's start off with the goalkeepers. As you can see, I kind of suggested this already with the flip around from Konza to Henderson. So again, that one makes sense, to be honest. So nothing really in that. I feel we've kind of already alluded to that in the last section. So, you know, let's not waste any more breath on that one. Trent, I think, has been phenomenal over the past few weeks and has been super unfortunate not to have got an attacking return. Like I said with Robertson, I am looking at both of these guys for the next couple of game weeks as well with my own team, because I think they both look exceptional, to be honest. They both really, really, really look good. Trent as well, 1.5 expected assists. He's been super unfortunate not to have come away with an attacking return so far this season. Actually had the ball in the back of the net against Manchester United, but was ruled out. So that one's a little bit of a ring stinger, to be honest. Then we've got Rico Lewis in here. Now, City, as we saw with the 11-ify data, have some really, really good projected kind of clean sheet data over the next few weeks. Lewis, for the price he is playing like out of position, getting the chances that we expected Gvardiol to do. Now, there is obviously the big risk of rotation with Champions League football, Pep roulette. We all know what that's capable of. However, sometimes it might just be worth a bit of a gamble, to be honest, because if he continues to play the way he is, he's going to pick up some mega hauls this season. City are going to get clean sheets. He is going to get attacking returns because he can't keep popping up in those positions and not scoring goals. It will just happen. There will be some mega returns in there. And I feel with this side and the other defenders we've got as well, you've got plenty of other players that could cover him off if he does obviously get dropped or becomes a rotation risk as well. So could be worth a little bit of consideration on that one. Then we're going to move into the midfield and we're going to talk about a man, if you've ever been around this channel for, I would probably say about a year now, you know I've got a soft spot for Jarrod Bowen, to be honest. The West Ham fixtures are actually really good. Fulham, Chelsea, Brentford, Ipswich, Tottenham, United, Nottingham Forest. I think, you know, they do have some greys and reds in there. However, they are playing, I would say, the lesser of the top sixes, where you could feel like West Ham could get something out of the game. Jarrod Bowen is just exceptional. And as we saw with the fantasy football projected points numbers as well, he has just creeped into that list and has started creeping in my mind as well. So I wanted to offer him as an option to you guys as one of those mega differentials. Same goes for Garnacho as well, another player that has crept into my mind. We saw with the United projected goal numbers, they're actually doing pretty okay for the next few weeks as well. Definitely some strong fixtures in there. Now I know his minutes have been a little bit kind of chaotic over the past kind of few game weeks, but I think those will start to look more secure because they do look a better side when he is on the pitch. Minter, I just wanted to give you like a midfield replacement for João Pedro really, and they've got Matoma and Minter. I would say Matoma is more than 90-minute man, however Minter is definitely capable of doing plenty within the 70 to 80 minutes he will get as well. The next two fixtures are stupendous, however after that you will have to obviously rotate around with some of the other players we've got available. And then the only other change we do have within this side is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Like I said, I would be tempted to maybe have a look at him. The next few weeks look really, really good in terms of fixtures. Leicester, Palace, Newcastle, Ipswich, Fulham and Southampton. He's always a player who seems to do quite well at grabbing expected goal numbers as well. However, has never really hit the numbers that we've been expecting from him. This season, though, he is currently only 2 points behind João Pedro. João Pedro is obviously getting all the media attention. However, Calvert-Lewin's kind of gone a little bit quiet. It's a little bit of a dud fixture in 4 with Villa away. I wouldn't expect too much from Everton in that one. However, after that, Leicester, Palace, Newcastle, Ipswich, Fulham. It's just a great run, and I feel he could be a great cheap forward to potentially consider within that price bracket. You could also go for Johan Visser as well, but it would again be a little bit of a too difficult fixtures for the next two, and you would maybe have to play one of Guéhi or Porro if that was the case. That was the second wildcard. Let me know which one you prefer down in the comment section below. If you've got any questions about your team as well, get them in, as I will try to answer as many questions as I possibly can. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in Game Week 4.